Talk time. Today's talk time, Spirit and Soul. As I said in my last talk time, I was going to talk about these. I think that these are two separate components of the same system. Bear with me, it's complicated. A spirit is what keeps us alive. It's the breath of life given to all living creatures. A soul is what humans have. It is our ability to reason. It is our consciousness. It's not our mind. Our mind is a physical component. Our consciousness. The person that you talk to when you're talking in your head, that's your consciousness. And on a deeper level, when you dream and things like this. Well, people say, well, that all happens in your head. Well, yes. But more than that, your consciousness is who you are. That's your soul. They're two separate components of the same entity. That is to say, you can't really have one without the other. Okay? Is it possible for a soul to depart a body and for that body to be alive because the spirit's still there? This, I believe, has happened. There have been people who have lost their consciousness, their ability to be them, or so buried that we can't recognize it anymore. So they're alive, but they're not functioning. Typically these are people in comas. I don't want to say people with amnesia. I think amnesia is a loss of memory, but I think your consciousness remains. There is examples in that people receiving donated body parts, so that is a donated heart or other organ, will sometimes have dreams or be able to suddenly have memories from the person whose organ that was. And I believe this is part of the consciousness attaching itself to that. Now, that's not to say that your consciousness attaches itself to body parts arbitrarily. It's just that it can stay behind or linger on even after your soul, or not. Your soul is like, it's able to do all these things. It's so complicated, so mysterious. But I think that consciousness that your soul is embeds itself in the body, so like it rubs off on parts of your body, your heart and your liver and whatever, so that when somebody else receives it, they might understand part of your consciousness from it. It's not your soul. Your soul's up in heaven along with your spirit. Once your spirit leaves, that's it. It's checkout time. It's time to go to heaven, hopefully. But it's time to go. Now, when we see a ghost, then, what do we see? We're seeing a spirit, or are we seeing a soul? I think we're seeing a spirit. Spirit is, again, the life essence that brings somebody to life. Without a body, it's just there. It has no conscious will of its own. A ghost then, therefore, would have both components. It would have a spirit and a soul, and it would be a whole different type of experience to encounter that type of entity. I think that the soul will always go to heaven, and that the spirit may wander around on the earth. I don't know if you would be aware of that, or, people often say spirits are there because they're trying to work out something that they didn't finish in life, or something of this nature. I think it's more of like something happened where their spirit and their soul weren't in sync with each other, so one went on without the other. Now again, this is all very out there and hard to understand, and it's my own personal feelings on this, and none of it's biblical probably. I don't know. I'm not a scholar of the Bible, but I think it reflects upon my thought process. And I think it relates in this way. The Spirit is what connects us to God. It's what communicates, not our soul. Our soul is our own conscious thoughts and our own thinking process. But our spirit, which is connected to our soul, is the one that communicates to God. And that's why it's so hard to hear, quote unquote, hear, or know what God wants sometimes, is because we have to get that spiritual connection going between our spirit and our soul in order to commune with God. And prayer helps us do that. Prayer gets our minds focused. That's why we close our eyes. That's why we bow our heads. That's why we fold our hands. That's why we focus in and try to get away from all the external forces that act upon us, and talk to our soul and communicate through our soul to our spirit. Do I believe in ghosts? Yes, absolutely. I have seen spirits. So I absolutely believe that there are spirits. Can we detect them using equipment? No. Ghost Hunters is a pointless show. You cannot detect the spiritual world using instruments. The Bible does warn us not to talk to the dead. I believe that this is referring to communicating with souls. Don't communicate with souls, but I think it does extend to not messing around with the spiritual world, because it's a very dangerous world. It's a world we don't understand a lot about. If you see a ghost, you might do well to go somewhere else very calmly. Or do what I did way long ago. Actually, it wasn't a ghost. It was actually an evil force of some sort. And it wasn't actually me. It was my mom who said this. But it worked, and I remember it to this day, and I'll remember it forever. In Jesus' name, be gone. And it was gone. Spirits, all ghosts, all entities must obey their creator if they're in that spiritual state. Since we're in a body form, we don't have to obey our spirit or our soul, and we can go against it. We can go against morals that we have, we can go against better judgment, and we can go against our very nature and do something that we don't want to do because we have a body. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's really weird that you can go against your own self. You can decide to do something that you don't want to do. Why would you do something you don't want to do? I don't know, but I've done it myself, so go figure. What I'm trying to get at with this spirit and soul talk is I really wanted to, aside from my thoughts and my theories and my thinking of it, I wanted to engage into a talk beyond the other talk times that I've done that have covered morals and politics or whatever, and talk about something beyond this world. Is there a life after our body is done? Yes, absolutely. I think it's incorrect, or not incorrect, but it's a bad approach to tell somebody you're going to go to hell if you don't believe. You're setting that person up for the wrong way to believe. You shouldn't believe in anything because you're afraid or because you're not afraid. You should believe because your spirit and soul arrive at the conclusion that it's true. Until next time, peace out.